Let's go, man. So you said that for you, it didn't end up being an Achilles heel, right? I don't know. It's a problem, but you don't stop taking a job because of it.
No, I'm talking about today. Today, yes, suddenly we might meet in 5 years, and I'll give you a different answer.
Man, but you're almost 50 years old already. It's all good, man. You've made it this far, now you can go anywhere.
But actually, I'm really at a moment of reconsidering and making a push, getting back to doing some kind of physical activity and such to really, yeah. Because, man, it's not optional anymore, right, dude? After 40, you really have to take care of the machine. Otherwise,
Because, man, you see, Axl Rose, when he came here and did the last Rock in Rio, he looked like Mickey Mouse. People were even making a lot of jokes. Yeah, it really looked bad there. I saw it on TV, and it bothered me a lot. I think Sebastian Bach from Skid Row also isn't singing in the same range anymore, right? He doesn't reach it anymore.
man, and the funny thing is, there are several resources. Of course, sometimes if you change the key of the songs,
But it seems like they've already changed more than one key, right? They've already lowered more than one key, the Guns guys. Isn't that the case?
yeah, you keep transposing, keep changing.
There comes a time when it doesn't work anymore.
Whitesnake. David Coverdale is one of my great influences. And so he still has a beautiful tone, right? When he sings that, the deep voice is there. But now, when he goes higher, the voice doesn't reach the same notes anymore. So the band keeps lowering the key, keeps lowering the key. But man, it gets to a point that certain bands start to not sound good.
That's what happened with Bon Jovi, right?
Exactly.
There are Bon Jovi songs you listen to and think, wow, it doesn't even sound like they're playing the song because it's so low.
Yeah, but John Bon Jovi, man, I think there's something else going on there. You know, I think he has some other health issue. A documentary about the band is coming out soon, where he said he will reveal what he's been going through, but it seems like he's been dealing with some, well, health issue. Because
In their youth, there were also years of abuse, right, man? People went hard.
And there are also people who live with this show business thing. The guy's voice isn't great, and some parts are pre-recorded, right? And so I have a friend who is a technician for Richie. Come on. Hello, Richie. Richie was with Sebastian Bach. He worked on the production of his show and asked Sebastian Bach, what do you think about people saying that Paul Stanley from Kiss, other vocalists, they don't sing live anymore. They use some pre-recorded parts. He said the following, look, Paul Stanley at 70 years old, after so many years of service to rock, I don't even mind that much. What bothers me is a 20-year-old kid getting on stage and doing playback. You understand? So, these are discussions that we can carry forward.
Yes, yes.
Even BB himself.
King at the end, man, wasn't playing anything anymore. The guy was 90 years old, Beto. What do you expect? Put someone who's 90 on stage, the guy to travel. McCoy Tyner, too, the pianist who played with Joe Coltrane, man, at the end, wasn't playing anything anymore either.
And there was talk that BB King also extended this end of career because it seems he had, I don't know how many ex-wives and children and whatnot. Nah, it was even a financial issue. The guy needed to be on the road.
Yeah, it's almost always that. When the guy is no longer at the performance level and he keeps insisting, right, man, then it ends up being more about that. But all is forgiven, duly forgiven. That's not what we remember about B.B. King, right?
Exactly, exactly.
It was a very small burden he was carrying, so much so that he died shortly after, right?
Yes. And then there are the bands that reunite, where the guys can't stand each other, but get together and you say, no, the tour is called Missing the Condo Fees 2024, right? It's a theater.
Right.
It's kind of like that, man.
Yeah, but like, man, I really wanted to talk about this because I see that even today. It bothers people. Man, the guy doesn't play in the same key. He did in 94 anymore.
Do you run at 50 the way you did at 15?
But maybe the guy says that Malmsteen plays the same way he did on Rising Force in 84, you know. And then they want to use that as a comparison, but it's like you said, right, man? The voice is a physical instrument on a different level.
Yes, and it's very fragile, man. It's very fragile, and it changes from one day to the next, right? I played at a festival once in Chicago less than 10 years ago, and who was performing there was Eric Martin, the singer of Mr. Big.
Of course.
And man, he showed up with a scarf like this saying, I'm kind of having a cold and all. Man, he opened his mouth. Even with a cold, he sang better than everyone else at the festival, dude. And then Mr. Big is now doing a farewell tour. And they did something interesting. He's having a vocal issue. They didn't want to cancel more tour dates, so they hired a guy from a Mr. Big cover. An Italian singer. He had a band called Mr. Pig. Monster Pig. And he's a guy who he's a Michele Lupi, this Italian. He even worked with Coverdale and Whitesnake doing the same thing. So doing the higher harmonies, doing the thing, and that's it, being honest about it, right?
Yes.
Everyone deals with it in a different way.
Here in Brazil, we've had cases, right? Edu himself from
Andrew.
Who now has his own project.
Edu Falaschi, yes.
Do you know what happened to his voice? I don't know, man.
I've had this problem before. And everyone says, well, reflux is like a bad knee for a soccer player.
But does it have anything to do with singing too much, this problem?
Man, it has to do with diet. It has to do with sleep. It has to do with a lot of things.
The whole problem with reflux is that basically all the acid in your stomach comes back up. Yeah, reflux just like a baby, right? And then it starts damaging your vocal cords. It literally starts killing them in a way.
Man, I was very blessed. I started to feel it. I had reflux problems twice. There was a time when I saw the image. Man, everything around was already messed up except. And I felt it in time and managed to take care of it.
It's because it's literally acid on your vocal cords. His problem was that he had been suffering from reflux problems for a long time.
Yeah, I managed and I monitor this. And then at some point, it also impacted the range of some notes that must have become inflamed.
No problem. It's just that it triggers several other issues, like vocal fold nodules, then singing really hurts, it's physical pain, and it causes various other problems, which then compromises his performance.
Man, but I'm not even talking about my opinion. I've watched Edu saying that he thinks he was singing outside his range because he was replacing Andre Matos. So people would go there to see if he would hit the notes. You keep singing outside, you keep working in an uncomfortable position. That is, outside your range at some point.
So he was already pushing too hard there.
Yeah, but that's not just what I think.
It's mainly him interpreting the songs from Andre's era. Yes. And I think there's also the audience, this metal, more melodic metal audience. There are two things involved here. When a band is well established and they lose a vocalist and another guy comes in, man, this guy is going to be judged. When it's another instrumentalist from the band, it's already something, let alone.
The vocalist is usually a central figure, right? Especially in Angra, which had Andre, man. He was a very important figure in the band.
I remember him a lot. I followed him a lot in the beginning there. And there's also the issue, man, that I think in this scene, there's already a competition among people who are fans of different bands. Have you noticed that? No, but that guy hits higher notes. That guy plays faster. Or take the double of the other guy. Then he has a tempo. Have you seen this, Kaiko?
Yes.
Come on. There are some pretty crazy competitions.
Yeah, but there's that saying, man, it's complicated because we're talking about art, right? There's that quote from Bela Bartok that says, man, competition is for horses. Who are the ones crossing the finish line faster, man? Music is kind of a It's complicated to say that someone is better. That discussion. Eternal, but the metal crowd has that.
True. And the technical level, right, man? Maybe even because of the technical level. To execute, we've already discussed this here too. We talked about Edu, and I remembered the guitarist Roberto, who also went through a difficult phase. I don't know if you got to see that. He played some very difficult things in the studio, but live the execution wasn't as perfect. Then people filmed it, posted it, and started criticizing the guy. Did you get...
Remember that?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. The guy suffered a lot because of that. But this issue of perfectionism.
But then you also have to see. You have to see. You have to see. You have to see what you're going to deliver, right? It's no use going crazy in the studio and then not delivering live.
I've said this a lot here. When Marcelo Barbosa himself came here, I said, man, it's risky to always give 100% in the studio, which is a super controlled environment. You can re-record, do as much as you want. Then you go to a show. You'll have to do that 120% now. 20%. 20% now. 20% is now. 80 now. 20% is now. 20% is now. Amazing. More than what you delivered. But if you can't do that, right, in the show, it will fail.
No, but it's interesting what you said because it's a matter of maturity. I told you that I recorded several albums with various metal bands, several projects which always have this thing of singing with punch, singing with a high range. Then I went to make my first solo album, which was it's an album that has influences of classic rock and also some more modern elements. And in my first solo album, I sang in a way that some people said, but wow, you sang so calmly on the album. I said, no, man, because here, my ego doesn't need. I want the music to sound good. And then I wrote songs that worked within a more relaxed range. And now that I'm finishing a new album, it was the opposite. This time, it was kicking the door open. Really, yes, the new album, the mindset is but it's cool to sometimes challenge yourself too. Of course, if you spend your life in the comfort zone, it's like these are things that to sing live, I'll have to sweat it out, as my brother Dudu would say.
Thank you for watching this clip from Starling Cast. You can watch the full episode here in the video description. And take advantage, if you're a guitarist, to join the largest virtual school in Brazil, exclusively for guitarists, by clicking on the bayan na QR code or in the video description. I'll be waiting for you there.